See that? We're in the dust and everything now. Well, today it is Tuesday morning. We cut this hay last Thursday, so about 5 days from the time that we cut it. And we're baling it today. We raked it yesterday. So this is the first field that we've baled this year. We just kind of worked through all the bugs of the baler and what the mice had done to the baler all winter, but we got it cranking good now. You'll see as the tractor comes and the baler comes that there's two machines there. The one in the front is called a steamer. And the steamer allows us to add moisture to this hay to help it be preserved better as we bale. Again, these straight rows next to the pivot, we call them end rows. We put them here just to have enough room for the machine to turn around and a place for the pivot to park. And now that he's finished the end rows, he'll go and he'll start baling in a circle, which will allow him to regulate the moisture better and go at a little faster speed. You can see these bales over here have some orange dots on them. That lets us know that that particular point of the bale, the moisture is a little bit high. It's at about 18% moisture whenever you see one of those dots. We try to bale this hay at 13% moisture. That's kind of the ideal storage for the hay. But a lot of times when you're in the Nevada desert, you cannot maintain 13% moisture. I'd say right now today, without any steam, this hay would probably be baling at 8% moisture. It just gets too dry and too brittle. And so that's why we have the steam. Here in this valley, it's always breezy. We never get any dew. Sometimes in the morning, if there's some clouds and some humidity, it'll soften up a little bit, but it won't be heavy dew or dew like a lot of other valleys get. And so we have that Staheli steamer on there to create the right conditions for us to bale hay. And obviously we're baling now in kind of the mid-morning time instead of the middle of the night. A lot of people bale at night to try to captivate the dew or the right moisture or some softness to the hay, which we do that as well too. We'd still really watch the temperature. The ambient temperature, the outside temperature is more important to us than whether we actually have dew on the hay or not. So tonight, now that we kind of worked the bugs out of this and we kind of got the baler rolling, when it cools down again tonight, we'll come out here and we'll have a good night of baling and be really productive with it. But it's nice to be baling. It's nice to be making bales in our first crop of the year here. As Kelly goes now, as he's sitting there baling, he's able to see the moisture in those bales. There's a machine on the baler that senses the moisture of every flake of hay. It's called a gazeka. And the gazeka communicates to him in the cab to show him what the moisture level of the bale is. And then he can adjust the steam accordingly. The steam, he's probably running at like 45% now, just getting started. But if the bale moistures stay low, he'll keep bumping that up higher and higher until we get in consistent bale moisture of about 14%. And again, it's not that we're adding water to the hay for the weight's sake. We're trying to preserve the leaves, the nutrition, and maximize the storage quality of this hay, and that's the reason why we're adding the steam. Again, if you look at this hay, he wasn't running any moisture on the end rows. The alfalfa part of this, the leaves are kind of shattered. This hay is really dry. You don't see any shiny wedges in the side of this, so this hay's not flaking very good. If we cut those strings, it'll just kind of blow everywhere. If you come over to this one, you can kind of see that starting to change because he's probably turned on his steam. He's got the balers. Now you're starting to see these flake lines where you can see every time that plunger's hitting and you're getting a shinier line on the side. And so this hay is starting to get the moisture in it that we're looking for These dots on this one, on these end rows, are probably just somewhere that the end row got ran over or packed with a tractor tire or swather tire. But now that he's out there on those other rows, I've been looking at his other bales, there's 0 orange dots. And so he can start kind of moving the steam higher and higher to preserve the leaves and things like that. We'll go look at some of those other bales and you can kind of see the difference from this really dry one where we started. Right now, Kelly's baled these end rows and he's on his first outside row out there, and he's made around 20 bales, a little more than 20, like 21, 22. So for all you guys that lift hay by hand, that's a half a semi load right there. You can fit about 40 bales on a semi, and so he's done probably 12 or 15 tons worth of hay in the 30 minutes that we've been here, and he's loading the truck pretty fast. So when he's in that baler, baling, right now he's baling, I would say about 5 miles an hour, and a lot of times we bale at 7 miles an hour or faster, but you just have to adjust to the work the baler's doing, and so there's a couple ways to regulate that in there. You can see in your camera back there what the pickup on the baler is doing, so you have a screen that's showing you right where the baler's picking up the hay, and you can kind of see that if it's feeding in there clearly. But the other thing you watch is the number of flakes per bale, and you want to keep that around 40, in the 30s, but not low 30s. So if he was going really fast and he was stuffing hay in there at a tremendously fast rate, you could get down there at 20 flakes per bale or in the 20s, but then you're just having that baler work really hard and stuffing big old chunks of hay in there as fast as it can. If you slow down your ground speed, that flake thing is tripping, you can get it up about 40 flakes a bale. And then the bale width is only about 2 inches wide instead of 4 inches wide, and it's a lot better hay. And so we generally control our ground speed based on how many flakes per bale we're cranking in there, and that just varies on how thick the windrow is. If the windrow was a lot lighter, we'd have to kick up to 7, 8 miles an hour to get the 40 flakes per bale, or else you start getting up there a little higher rate. So now we're inside the baling tractor. There's just a lot of information that we have to monitor in here. This screen has to do with the tractor and controls for the tractor. This is video cameras that are on this steamer so that we can see what's happening on the baler, because the baler's behind the steamer and we still need to see various things back here. This up here is the baler monitor, so this is all the controls of how we control the baler. Tells us our bale counts, our pressure that we're baling at, how many flakes per bale, all the information we need to know. If a knot misses, we'll be able to see that here and also up here. This little screen is for the Gazika. It's just the moisture monitor. Basically, it tells us that the average of the moisture is 15%. The last high point was 19.7, which is way too high. And then when it was just reading was 12%. So we're seeing we have some fluctuations, or probably some wet slugs in here, which will let us stop and bale tomorrow after it dries out a little more. And then this screen up here has to do with the steamer. Tells if it's everything that's going to happen with that steamer, how much water there's in the machine, how much boiler water, the steam pressure, the fuel level, the pilot level. This Staheli steamer monitor has a tremendous amount of information. Each one of these you can just scroll down deeper and deeper into it, troubleshooting all kinds of things. Over here is where you regulate how much steam is going out each of the nozzles. So you have 4 different sets that you can control. Steam hoses that go back there, so you can go top or bottom heavy, or balance between right and left. And then this over here is just how much steam you're putting on at the time, so we can control that. So that's kind of what we focus on here in the tractor. But again, a lot of computerized stuff and a lot of sensors and a lot of information here so that we can do the best job we can putting up good hay.